Hello, everyone. Welcome to LOCKBEARD Phenomena number 63, Spooks. It's Saturday, September 24th, 2022. See who's here. The chat's rolling. Mr. Lee, Angel, Meredith, welcome. Meredith writes, hey, chat, I'm outside walking a dog. Mr. Lee's going to miss it. No, Mr. Lee's not going to miss anything. There's a Bat Mom. There's Donald. Welcome. I think Donald was first in here. Yeah, it's Mr. Lee. It's National Ghost Hunting Day. We haven't really talked much about ghosts lately, so why not? Meredith says, Mr. Lee, right up your alley. You like the ghost, boo. Yeah. Brian and Chewy's here. Welcome. Lots of highs and hellos. I'm try to catch up to you guys. You started a few minutes before me. Brian says, just walked in the door from an epic hike today. Epic wind and epic views. Awesome. Yeah, Mr. Lee, I still haven't had a chance to go back and see if I could check that out. At least it got you talking. Did you give the British Bigfoot report? Enjoy the fall weather. Yeah, it's starting. Mr. Lee says to Brian, I was so scared, man. Is it nippy in London? I can't remember the name of that. There was a place. It's a castle in Ireland, but it's like the picture isn't really all that great. So I was going to pull that up, but it was posted on the 30th of August. Legendary shape-shifting entity photographed at a castle in Ireland. Trying to see the name of it. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, it's not really because they put a red circle, and you know the red circle thing. It's not that great a picture if there's red. You got to use a red circle. Mr. Lee says, "Lockbeard, fantastic new intro. Well done, man. Thank you, man. Thank you." And I'll tell you, the computer fought me every step of the way. I mean, part of it's the heat. It gets too hot, and the damn thing just don't want to do anything. But the other part is I really need a computer with a bigger set of balls on it. Ida Bustamonte's here. Welcome. Mr. Lee says that's some Steven Spielberg shit right there. Well, not exactly. I could definitely. I would have liked to refine that a lot better. It certainly could be, but like I said, I'm limited by what I'm working with, so that's what we got. That's what we're going to get. Because I showed you guys that just the one slide that I had on it. The one, like it's a 5-second clip there. Like 2 months ago or something like that. And so I just been doing so many different things, and the computer just takes too long to do it. And then also it depends on what kind of internet I'm working with. I gave up on using the public library because there's problems with there. Like I can't function on YouTube at the library because like a lot of I remember specifically Joe's channel. A whole lot. I think the majority of his videos are blocked at the public library here. Also, there's no comment section. It's blocked entirely. YouTube comment section is completely blocked, so I can't respond to comments or make comments or do anything. So the library, and I talked to their people, and they never could find some kind of resolution to it or fix it, and so I just can't use the public library. But yeah, because if I try to upload where I'm at now, if I try to upload a video here, it might take 4 hours. Whereas if I do it at where I'm normally at in the morning, it takes 10, 20 minutes max, 20 minutes max. So that is throttling things. Sandra Piper says, Lockbeard, love your new intro to the show. Thank you, Sandra. Welcome. Welcome to Grasshopper. Comes in with again with the StreamYard chat blanking out. Grasshopper says, evening, all use cray crypto weirdos. Uncle Bones, welcome. Rex Hand. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, don't check it out. It was rubbish. Yeah, I mean, I saw the picture. It's just I was having trouble getting it where I could pull it up. I think when I jumped on, because it was reported on Coast to Coast website, which I think that thing computer just started, lagging. Certain websites, I jumped on Facebook briefly to check something somebody was sending me there, and that's just a mistake. All the CIA satellites link up and then practically shuts the computer down too. So anyway, yeah, I'm not gonna bring that up, Mr. Lee. There wasn't really anything there. There could be something there, but it's not like it's a clear face of a ghost or anything. If you have to circle it, it's probably not really any kind of great evidence, as we all know. Fat Mom says, Mr. Lee, I heard you were on Mogs. Can't believe it. I missed it. Yeah, he wasn't on visually, though. We need to get him on visually. Hopefully, if I do that one thing that I've been talking to him about, maybe I can get a short little visual clip from him. That Mom missed everything. She hasn't missed anything, Mr. Lee. It was something. Well, that's not the. It could be something similar. It seems like it started with a K or a C or something like that. Gary says, yes, I'm here, Lucky. Ha, ha, ha. Welcome to the chat, Gary. Donald says, Lockbeard Pat wants someone to put him in the hot seat over them pics on Facebook. You should have him over. He's got some new pics on Facebook. Like I said, I try to stay off of Facebook. Facebook is just a goddamn disaster. Every time it screws the computer up. I hate Zuckerberg anyway and all this censorship bullshit. Facebook used to be kind of fun, and now it's just I hope it fucking dies. That's what I want for Facebook. I want it to fucking die. I want somebody. I want it to tank like G4 is right now. It needs a tank. Brian says, baby steps, Lee. It will get more natural in the England Bigfoot report. Oh, is Mr. Lee not going to do the British Bigfoot report? He's going to do the England Bigfoot report. So that means we're going to need someone to do, we're going to need the Scottish Bigfoot report. So maybe we can get McMahon to do that Well, no, wait a minute. Isn't he in Ireland? He's in Ireland. He can do the Ireland Bigfoot report. Of course, all these reports are going to be real short, right? Because there's no Bigfoot over there. No sightings this week. See you. Bye, folks. Goodbye. Hunting. No, it wasn't Huntington. I can try to pull. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the name of it. I know the page is loading now. It's just taking forever. It's a 12th century. They were investigating a 12th century castle. Well, where's the name of the cat? Lackeen. 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 Lackeen Castle. And of course, on there they don't have the picture. You got to go over somewhere else to see the picture. But when I clicked that link earlier, it was just I'm not doing it again. Not doing it again. Like you said, it wasn't a big deal anyway. Brian Chu, you considering doing the English Bigfoot report? The best sightings you got in England for Bigfoot are in the pub, aren't they? Miss Lee says, Donald, you busy pissing your neighbors off today, man. Is he pissing off his neighbors? Says, yes, sir. So when your sibling home still the internet, maybe. Way behind. Well, yeah, because you guys were chatting before we started. Well, have you experienced anything paranormal? I don't know. I'm not sure because I think my mind was too. Like I instantly go to. There's a logical explanation for this. It must be. It's just pipes banging or the wind or your mind playing tricks on you. So if I had, I might not have realized it. I just my mind would have gone to my mind would have done kind of written it off. But I see no reason why there can't. It's just what the real explanation of what it would be is the question. Or well, I mean, there's as far as when you're looking at field theory, you know, which I've talked about sometimes, Ken Wheeler and Nikola Tesla and all this stuff, and how everything in the universe is fields, you know, energy, vibration, frequency. That's what everything is made of, and so, you know, I don't know how comfortable people are with a scientific explanation for ghosts, but there it is. I mean, but there may be different versions of you know, I don't know if there can be a blanket term for these different things. Like one could be the actual disembodied spirit, you know, of a person that's just confused and doesn't realize that they need to let go, that they're locked into their ego, they're they still think they're individual, but they should just rejoin the one spirit, the one consciousness of the entire, like everything, which, you know, which is a bad situation, right? Because that's why you see a ghost, and then the ghost doesn't really seem to understand what's going on. they're confused. They think they're still alive. So you'll like people will see the spirit, and it's always doing the same thing over and over and over again because it's kind of locked in its final moments, and it just doesn't realize it's confused. But there's a documentary from 1975. We was going to look at some clips from that where this guy was talking about like he seen this apparition was about a foot off the ground, and what he thought was, and it could be true that he's seeing an image left over from the past. That this isn't necessarily an actual ghost, but like an after image, an echo left over from the past, and that person isn't actually standing a foot above the ground at that time. The ground was higher and it's come down. It's eroded down, and so that's what he thought, is that ghost was not actually floating. I mean, it's an actual image of a person that was alive and standing there at a time when the ground was 1 foot higher. Um, um, this there could be some now this ghost could be some kind of explanation for some of the weird shit that some people say they see Bigfoot doing. This is why they can't, if they do see something weird, they can't just automatically assume, well, I saw Bigfoot disappear, they must have cloaking or jump through a portal or whatever kind of bullshit. Well, who's to say that there isn't a such thing as a ghost of a Bigfoot? Maybe you saw that and ghosts disappear. So Bigfoot aren't cloaking. You're just because you may just be seeing a ghost of a Bigfoot. Why can't there be a ghost of a Bigfoot? Or a leftover after image or something, some other kind of explanation. But you got to be careful not to jump onto any explanation because we don't know. We don't know any of this stuff. Spooks and Spirits says what? Yeah. What are his pictures? What are they, Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee says English. Yes, I don't like British. What? Why not, Mr. Lee? Be interesting to know. Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy history you all had over there. We were talking about that one night because, like, how I don't think that the royals are the real should be the real ones in control. Well, for one, I don't think the British monarchy should be over Ireland and Scotland and all that stuff and Wales. Like, as far for like the Eternus Empire thing, I demarcated the boundaries separating into 3 separate nations. Northumbria goes to Scotland to equalize the amount of the land area. But yeah, I think the ancient pagan kings, the lines of the ancient pagan kings should be looked to for the true heir. Not even that guy in Australia. Although he would be more appropriate than fucking Charles. But I think we should look to the lines of the ancient pagan kings, that were that but because they call it was what they called the septarchy back then. There were 7 major kingdoms, or we call them kingdoms. To some degree, we may be just looking at just like a tribal leader that's been kind of called a king at this point, but same difference. It's a leader. It's a leader at the time. No, I've forgotten the name now, but I said it a while ago. Too many castles in England. No, this was in Ireland, Mr. Lee. It's in Ireland. Donald says they are a blurry mess. I asked Pat why he posted them. He said he wants someone to put him in the hot seat. Well, I mean, I don't see the percentage in blurry. Like, is he like stating that they are definitely? Well, I don't even know what these pictures are. Are they UFOs? Are they Bigfoot? Are they ghosts? What are they? So he wants someone to put him in a hot seat. Maybe we should have Joe do it. Mr. Lee says, Donald, what up with Pat lately? Oh man, I don't know. Was he even on last night? It didn't look like he was on last night. Like I didn't see his live stream or Spooks. The black shuck. What's that? I'm not familiar with that. Rex Hand says, my wife's sister got a farm in Hayesville, Kansas. We were out there standing in the garage. Something screamed upstairs, went downstairs. Brandy's here. She says nobody's going to put him in the hot seat when they know he doesn't actually believe anything is in those photos, Donald. So was he just trying to stage kind of a debate over him or to make a point? Ghostly Hound. Streaming right over our heads. We couldn't believe it. It was screaming. There was some kind of screaming over your head. Joe, there's Joe. He says, wait a minute. I just walked in. Scientific explanation of a ghost. Ain't no such thing as in the scientific explanation. Well, I mean, you want to go down this rabbit hole? You want to go down this rabbit hole, Joe? The stupid light is fucked. Actually, there is a scientific. It's just not main. It's not the science, you know. Like if you're thinking about quantum physics and Einstein, all that, which is bullshit. It's all bullshit. Then they can't. They can't explain. I mean, even Einstein, spooky action and distance. He didn't understand. He didn't understand. He called it spooky because he's like, I don't know how to fuck this thing. How's this happening? Because basically, what you have there is instantaneous transfer of data, memory, information that across infinite space and time. Space and just space, not time, but although because there's no time involved. It's instantaneous because he didn't actually understand how the universe works, and most humans on the planet do not. They just don't. I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole or not. What I would tell you is to try to get there is the only person I know on the planet that's truly seems to be trying to inform people about this is Ken Wheeler. Ken Wheeler. Of course, you're going down a deep rabbit hole because you're gonna have to learn why quantum physics is bullshit, and Einstein was not the genius he's thought to be. He's just a very, very parasitic plagiarist, is what he is, and he couldn't even plagiarize shit that was correct. But we got to take Einstein, throw him away, and then go look at someone like Nikola Tesla, Steinmetz, Heaviside. The real scientists in the past. You might even go look at some stuff from Eric Dollard, but man, I think this stuff can make you a little nuts if you understand too much about how the universe really functions. It could fuck you up. Like to me, it's sometimes I find this entire this here completely pointless. This existence. If you know what you truly are, you're like, why am I staying fucking here? Why did I stay here? What's the point? There's no goddamn point. Like it seems to me like the only reason to stay here is if you do not know why you're really here. Like I'm not saying I truly know why, but I know this isn't the true nature of what we are here. It's like because our memory's been taken about what we are, what we were before we occupied the physical body, which is just energy, frequency, vibration, fields were part of that, and and we just been split into a bunch of individuals. It's the whole fractal thing. It's like the Ken Wheeler always uses the example of the soap bubbles in a sink of water. When you look at the soap bubbles, they're all reflecting the same image, right? Well, there's only one thing there, but all the soap bubbles are reflecting it 1,000 freaking times. That's what individual entities are in this reality, is individual little reflections of the one. And I guess what's going on with our brain is its function is to block the memory of what we are beyond being uh, attached to this physical body, so that we could have, I guess, an individual experience. I don't know if the one conscious, because everything's the one conscious. I don't know if the one consciousness is just bored, and the only way for it to have new experiences is to exist attached to physical entities such as ourselves that have a biology that's able to block the memory. And then of course I don't know, we talked about the psychedelic stuff before, and why I think, because, man, this is a lot of stuff. So Ken Wheeler always uses the analogy that the brain is a radio, not a radio station. It's not the origin of the signal. It picks up the signal, it modulates it, it tunes into the signal, which is you, is what a lot of people would call a spirit. But it's really just signal. There's a lot of information in that signal, but it filters out a lot of stuff. And when you start taking psychedelics and stuff, it's like you're fiddling with the dial on the radio. And there's different psychedelic substances seem to have different effects on what's going on with your dial, because normally you're in a house. You're blocked off from the rest of the universe, the consciousness of the rest of the universe. It seems like you take this psychedelic over here, maybe it flings open a window so you have some exposure to this kind of thing and this aspect of the consciousness of the universe. And then you take a different psychedelic over here, maybe it flings open a door over here on the south side, and you get some signal from that direction. And then all the way up to, because you have the spirit molecule, which is NN-DMT, and it's in the intro. It's the molecule. I put it on the intro because to help familiarize people with NN-DMT and 5-MeO-DMT, two different molecules, very similar, but one is the NN-DMT they call the spirit molecule for a reason. The other one, 5-MeO-DMT, that's the same substance you get from the toad venom. They call it the God molecule. The reason is, and I like to describe it like this, is if NN-DMT flings open a couple of doors, connecting you to what people call the spiritual world, but it's really you're just reconnected with a lot of the signal out there that's normally filtered out. So they're thinking of it. They're thinking it in terms that they can understand spirits and God, right? The God molecule blows the house off of you, knocks down all the walls and blows the roof off. You lose your entire individuality. They call it ego death when that happens. Those people take that stuff, and they don't come back with a lot of. They come back with some information, but they don't, because this little mind here can't handle the entirety of all possible knowledge in existence. That's what you're connected to. You're connected to the all, the one entity, the one consciousness. Because all consciousness in existence is a piece of that one consciousness, and it's just that right now you're isolated in this meat puppet here as an individual. And so I don't know why we're here. I don't know if biological life just is just a complete accident and it just happened to form this way, but it seems that it had to be connected to the spiritual energies. I hate to use the word spiritual, but that's, I don't know what else to call it. Signals, frequencies, energy. Um, it seems you need to be connected to it. Because all life needs some amount of water to some degree, and that's another thing that's in the new intro, is some reference there to water molecule, and how the water molecule, the formation of the water molecule, is an antenna for consciousness. Which again, you got to think of consciousness as a signal. It's a frequency. It's a vibration. There's perfectly good scientific explanation for this stuff. It just takes a while to kind of get people to really wrap their mind around that. But water is critical, right? Because like if this is your radio, well, you got to have an antenna. Well, every single water molecule is your antenna. That's why when we were talking about there's also another thing. The water molecules store memory. So that's why that whole issue where if you get a transplant from somebody, you might start behaving a little bit like them, or you might experience memories. That's why that one case where the little girl, she experienced, I can't remember what, did she get a heart? I think she got a heart from a girl who had been murdered. And based on the transplant recipient's testimony from memories that she acquired by getting that heart, they were able to convict the killer. This kind of information, this stuff here, like if we just grab it and run with it, man, we could do some serious, crazy, just awesome stuff with it. But it seems that the mainstream, it seems that the government, it seems like the medical establishment doesn't want us to be aware that this stuff is legit. And even if someone is exposed to it, like right now, a lot of people hearing this are probably like, this is a bunch of hocus pocus crap. I'm like, no, there's science to support all of this. It's weird. It's really weird science. But once you start understanding how it works, so you see that scientist Emoto, like his he's done some experiments with water and memory and placing intention into water. You start to understand like the placing intention into water stuff, how holy water might actually, that because what they're doing is they're placing intention in the water. The water is recording something from the individual, like, because again, everything's frequency, energy, and vibration. Tesla tried to tell us, and nobody's fucking listening. They're over here listening to Einstein. Einstein didn't explain shit right. But so it isn't that there's this magical shit going on. It just kind of seems like magic to people because they don't understand what's actually happening there. So sometimes it may work. Now it's not going to be 100% all the time, of course, nothing really is, but they are doing something to the water, whether they understand how it works or not. I mean, you can give a caveman a hammer and he might figure out how to use the hammer, but he doesn't know how that fucking thing was made. He's like, to him, it's a magical thing that you handed him. You're a god. He's like, this, I've never seen a substance like this. It must be a mystical, powerful thing created in the heavens. Anyway, I'm probably way behind in chat now. Two churches one night, 1700s. It attacked them. Did I say welcome to Brandy? I should have said welcome to Brandy, but if I did not, welcome to Brandy. But what says, yeah, I wonder if the black shuck could be mistaken for Dogman or vice versa. Mr. Lee says, a lot of people I talk to have seen ghosts. These buildings are so old around here, telling you what go creak in the night, that is a ghost, man. Well, like one of the guys in that 1975 documentary, we'll look at least part of it here in a little bit. One of the guys in there was talking about how, well, you know, because a lot of people think it has to be some old place, and he says not necessarily. A lot of times ghosts appear in new places. So, something to think about. Yeah, you don't know what Pat's up to with the pics. Brandy says he's just being a smartass. Gary says ghosts are not one's friendly friend. I don't see them inviting you in to have donuts. I don't think anybody was saying any such thing. Most of the time, they are just simply confused, individualized energies and frequencies that doesn't realize it needs to dissolve back into the one. There are several accounts of black shuck on coastal paths to the cliffs. Picture bushes. Officially says Scottish peeps, Welsh and Irish or English do not like to be called British. It's insulting, dude. Just saying. So why do they call the place Great Britain? So there's been so many different people coming in there, and you know, and it's a history of war and forced religious conversion and all kinds of crazy stuff. Looks like a drone shot that may be a Bigfoot. Brandy says could have actually found some faces to use as a proper example. Scary as fuck, says Uncle Bones to Rex. Looked at each other like, wow, about the noise. Joe says pseudoscience explanation, maybe. No, I mean, like regular science is like pseudoscience. I don't know. Hopefully, I explained enough for you to go on. Like you might check. Like he does have a short paper that I went over on here at some point. That's kind of a quick, but that really doesn't do just because you kind of got to understand how the universe works, and it there's you're not going to get that from mainstream. You're going to get that by either listening to a lot of Kim Wheeler, probably, or studying some of the other works that he talks about. The older scientist, Nikola Tesla, and is the big one. But James Clerk Maxwell, but I mean, Ken's the one. He's really putting stuff together from all these other places, all these other people, because they didn't all necessarily have a full enough picture either, it would seem. Nikola Tesla maybe to some extent, but yeah, it just takes a while to go down that rabbit hole and kind of unlearn the mainstream and see what the problems are with it, and you know. And I've tried, because some people they bring up CERN, right? They're worried about CERN. CERN's going to accidentally create a artificial black hole and destroy the Earth. I'm like, no, they're not going to. Those guys over there think they're banging together particles, and they're not. You might as well give those guys a handful of Legos. They're all they're doing is blowing billions of dollars to do fucking nothing. they're shooting energy at energy, and that's it. That's it. They're not gonna create a black hole and destroy the fucking world. They're just wasting money. They will not hurt you. It's the living you have to worry about. Yeah. Mr. Lee says, "Sexy Ken, I watch all the time." Sexy Ken. I haven't been watching him much lately. Cause so much is repeated, like and the freaking live streams, man. The damn, especially if the flat earthers show up and start wasting a bunch of damn time and flooding the chat with their bullshit. Donald says, "Is Ken Wheeler a full carnivore?" No, he is not. And look, he knows what he knows. He does not know diet. I mean, he's a big old boy for a reason. But no. He like, look, everybody, just because you're a genius in one field doesn't mean you're a genius in others. And he certainly is not a genius when it comes to diet. But when it comes to field theory, I would say he is, if I'm qualified to make that assessment. I don't know that I am, but I would say that he is. He even said nothing about it. Yeah, theory, hypothesis. I gotta warn you. Actually, he's in the intro too. You look at him, you see this dude. He's covered in tattoos. He's goofy as hell sometimes, but trust me, trust me. Search for answers to the messed up things in mainstream science in different places, and there they are. Chessboard says, "Hello to everybody. Welcome, Chessboard." All right, see you later, Brandy. Chessboard says, "A hologram is like a bunch of soap bubbles. Cut any portion out of a hologram, and it contains its own picture." Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like the whole universe is a hologram, right? Mr. Lee says, "Chessboard, the poltergeist did hurt me, though. Just saying." Huh? Like a fluttering butterfly, Brandy is gone, says Uncle Bones. Well, she do that sometimes. Green Paul says, "Yo, Lockbeard, you are on my turf now. DMT, God molecule." Yes, 5-MeO TNT. 5-MeO DMT. Yeah. I mean, really, I don't know. The best way for people, well, shit. I gotta be careful what I say on YouTube when it comes to that, right? We come here blind to the spiritual world, says Grasshopper, for a reason, so we can just be humans doing human stuff. Yeah, but if I know that I'm just a little piece to a greater entity, a great universal consciousness is what I usually think of it, term it as. But and so basically, I'm just a tiny piece of that thing that has amnesia of most of my knowledge, and I'm here just trying to get to that knowledge. Well, I'm like, fuck, why did I stay here? I want to get to the knowledge. Why do I need to stay fucking here? What's the purpose of being here and suffering all the fucking time and dealing with all this bullshit that's going on? Why what is the point? You know, flesh puppet, meat puppet. Finally, I met you on the other night, dude. Just watched today. Chessboard says, "Uncle Bones, Brandy is like fly poop. She's everywhere." Mr. Lee says, "Chessboard, I sit on my chessboard? It did sit on my chest, trying to suffocate me, throwing all kinds of shit at me. Talking about the poltergeist, it's a bad experience. They can if you let them. Like, you have power over that thing. You just gotta, if you don't, but if you believe it can do stuff to you, you're basically kind of doing it to yourself. No, no. I just don't see the percentage. Ken's the same way. He says I mean, I don't know if you ever watched Ken Wheeler, but he's the same way about that. He's like, all you're doing is sitting there, just. It's like, how do you put it? I don't remember how you put it, but it basically, it seems like it's just a waste of time. Like, people trying to blank their minds and stuff like that. I'm like, what are you talking about? How can you blank your mind? There's no way. There's just shit flying through here all the time. I can't turn that off. So I don't know. I know what Ken says. He always says meditation doesn't refer to anything. It doesn't, like, what does it mean? What are you talking about meditation? What are you doing? You're sitting there just thinking? Well, I'm thinking all the time. Or you're sitting there trying not to think. Well, if I'm sitting there trying not to think, then I'm thinking about trying not to think. I can't stop thinking. That just is such a. If other people can achieve this, they have a superpower. I tell you what, I can't not think. That just doesn't happen. I might start blanking out on some shit, but whole experience. Here we go. We're all connected. Green Paul says, Lockbeard, the theory is everything is part of consciousness. If we tap into it, we find we are all the same. You in Green Paul's mind now. Chessboard. Mr. Lee says, chessboard, I will not have argument with you. This happened to me. Does chessboard not believe in you? Take too many drugs. Bioelectric molecules. Green Paul says, Mr. Lee, consciousness is the place in the veil where all things meet. Green Paul's, I agree to a certain extent, yes. Ken's channel. Fly by Stu's here. Welcome. Video on Tesla. Those who believe in the unnatural. There's no such thing as the unnatural. Everything that exists is actually natural. I mean, ultimately, because it's all part of the natural world. It's all part of the natural world. Green Paul says, Lockbeard is correct. There is a preponderance of experts who do not know what they know. Speaking to those who think it's been proven, consciousness is your brain on oxygen. Above, so below, be now. Experience of kind. Did chessboard have an experience of kind? Living the life you choose. I don't remember choosing it though. That's my problem. If I could remember choosing it, then I might be okay with it. But at the moment, because I don't have those memories, I feel like someone else has fucking trapped me here. Meredith says, darn dogs, electric nail file won't work. Had to fire nails with one of New York new nail files. She's lucky. Love her ass. Got her done. Little dog nail trimming, I guess. Explain to Mr. Lee. It's not a waste of time. It does refer to a something connecting to consciousness. You will be amazed. I have no idea. It looks to me like people are just sitting there and closing their eyes and thinking. I don't know. I don't know what the heck what are they talking about meditation? What is just I don't know. Donald says, Meredith, hi Meredith, and Fly by Stu. Mr. Lee says, chessboard, it's not too upsetting when people say you were too stoned, all in your head, but that was not the case. People always say that. I understand. I think maybe he was joking with you, Mr. Lee. Not sure. I think maybe he was joking with you. Um, Breck says, does anyone have music playing in their head all the time? Do you have any metal in your head? Rex? Or, I mean, because again, everything's energy, frequency, vibration, and it's potentially you could be picking up some frequencies you're not supposed to. I mean, well, are you supposed to or not? I don't know. I kind of feel like when people have these psychic experiences or they see ghosts and stuff, those kinds of things are not really supposed to see, but the system isn't perfect. So sometimes mistakes happen. Green Paul says, Lockbeard, I will email some tips about meditation. I thought about it like you did, but now I know. All right. I just, it looks to me like someone's sitting there and just closing their eyes and trying not to think. But some of them say anyway, they're trying not to think. And that just is not a possibility for me. Gary says, when someone say that D word, are they considered a troll? D word? What D word? Green Paul says, I hear a sound that sound like Native American flute when there is silence. Maybe you really are picking up Native American flute. And maybe it's from another time too. It could be from the past. Yep, tinnitus. Sometimes I have that going on. Sucks ass when it gets really bad. Daily Dan's here. He says, I'm watching, I'm listening, just eating. Oh, drugs. I don't know why. I mean, maybe some people might consider it being a troll if you're just telling people that have strange experiences that they're on drugs. But I think Chessboard was just playing with Mr. Lee when he said that. Rex says I have that too, Donald, mixed with music. Chessboard says, Mr. Lee, the only thing I'll say, I've seen body parts flying through the air. I've never taken drugs other than pain meds. Body parts flying through the air? Meredith says, Chessboard, you're saying hi to everybody. Welcome, Meredith. You ever wonder if maybe we should all just say hello, everyone, and call it good? Oh, we spend so much time typing in everybody's names. Daily Dan says, he was joking, Mr. Lee. Can't afford drugs. Donald says, I think mine is from using grinders without proper ear protection for many years. It's funny you mentioned grinders. I was going to say about them trimming them dog nails. You could probably use a grinder. You got a really big dog, like I used to have a Pyrenees, and the dog had dew claws that had to be trimmed or they'd grow all the way around and poke into her pad there because she didn't have her dew claws removed. Them things were as big as freaking ram's horns, man. And a regular dog nail trimmer could not gnaw through that damn thing. It just couldn't do it. All the chat took forever. No metals, just firing guns. Too much loud music. Mr. Lee says it's not a case of proving ghosts or spiritual manifestations. It happens. I've seen it when people start questioning whether you take drugs. Pisses me off. Just saying. Yeah, but I think he was just joking with you, Mr. Lee. He didn't mean it seriously. Does anybody recognize this scene? Donald says, I think that myself, Lock, but I feel bad not greeting everyone when they all greet me. Yeah. Yeah. I figured I figured I need to play a clip that had the word spooks in it to legitimize the title for tonight. Hold on just a second.
What the hell are you doing in my graveyard? You have been told, stay away! Sound off like you've got a beer!
Yeah, well, it's a public place, huh?
I do not like you! You cannot bring your spooks in here without my permission! Disappear, scumbag! I am not one of your shitty little emanations, Bannister. You cannot push spirits around. You are scum, using spooks to put the frighteners on people. That makes me physically ill. We got a lot of lowlifes around here, and I will provide an armed response at the first sign of trouble. They must be contained.
Catch you later, Hans.
My tour of duty runs another 85 years. There's a piece of dirt up here with your name on it, Bannister. I'm waiting for you, you little maggot.
Meredith says, Chessboard, careful on the pain meds. They are known to destroy families. I hope you have personal experience on that topic. Yeah, pain meds, bad news. Right, Mr. Lockbeard? I guess. You forgive Chessboard? The movie with Michael Keaton? No, Michael Keaton. No, Michael Keaton. Joe says, if I said I saw a purple dog with pink wings, I think it would be a valid question as to whether I was under the influence of drugs at the time. True. But there seems to be something really up with this spiritual thing, though. The ghost. Daily Dan says, oh my, he's really a ghost now. Eek. It's 21. Arlie Ermy is a legend, says Donald. Yeah. Them older, not 16 years old. Yeah, Michael J. Fox. I don't know. I think this movie doesn't get enough praise, really. It was a pretty good movie. It was fun, It was a lot of comedy in it, and I'm not the biggest comedy fan, but I liked this. Yeah, he did say he saw Bigfoot. But I mean, it's on a different level though, I think, because basically you just saw a big hairy dude in the woods. Big hairy dude in the woods. So no big deal, nothing too crazy there. Miss Lee says, Donald, yes, Full Metal Jacket, one of my best movies. Been on pain meds for 30 years. Mr. Hugh, welcome. Some fool dyed their dog and put it in a costume. Yeah, those panda puppies. People dyed those puppies like pandas. Sandra says, what was the name of the movie, Lockbeard? Oh, this movie? It actually, he said the name of the movies. Arlie Ermy, the character, the spook, the ghost there, he said the name of the movie in his line there, in his lines there. Joe says, yes, green calls, and yes, I don't think it would be unfair to ask if I was under the influence at the time. Yeah. The answer is no, it wasn't. Yeah. The stream stayed up, so I guess they didn't try to copyright smack me for it was a short enough clip. Green Paul says, so big hairy dude in the woods is okay, but everyone else is on drugs or insane. If they see something else, LO, dude, you learn nothing from your experience. Oh, you talking about him? No, he said that he said that it would be a fair question, but no, he wasn't on drugs. I think the two things are different, though. I think they're different because one, you're saying you saw just a big, physical thing, a hairy person. We're very familiar with physical things. There's, millions of physical plants and animals on this planet, and billions of humans on this planet, physical things, and so to say that you saw this physical thing is not near as fantastic as saying you saw something that's invisible, typically a spirit that most people aren't seeing, and it's just not something we normally see. So I think the two things are very, very different, very, very different things. So, which is fine, I think that like I've been basically trying to say is that spirits are real. It's just that there's a scientific explanation for what they are that most people aren't aware of because mainstream science tries to reject it at every turn. They won't admit the ether is real, even though all the experimental data shows it's fucking real. But they keep bending over backwards. Every time they come up with something that indicates ether, they bend over backwards to explain it away as something else. So they'll come up with something that's completely not real, like space time. Time is not a thing, it's a measure. Space is nothing. So how do you stick them together and say, oh, there's a fabric of space-time? No, there's not. What you're talking about is actually the ether. When you talk about dark matter and dark energy and 0 point energy and quantum foam, for fuck's sake, this is all indications that the ether are there. They're just trying like hell not to admit that humans, ancient humans from a long, long time ago, knew this shit. And that our science is still not quite caught up to what those people knew back then. We're assuming that those people did not have science that was greater than ours. And that assumption, I guarantee, is about to be proven wrong. We're assuming because they should be here, right? No, not if the fucking planet got hit by a big fucking rock, which it did. About 13,000 years ago. Hiawatha Crater in Greenland. Younger Dryas impact. Worldwide civilization, dick knocked in dirt. Technologically advanced civilization. What you're saying. Chessboard says, or Donald says, chessboard, I've been dealing with crippling pain from muscular dystrophy my whole life. But didn't you say you got some relief from that by dietary change? Give up. Where's my bong at? Green Paul says, Lockbeard, your explanation makes no sense. Miss Lisa, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Oh, yeah, there's Yippee. Green Paul says there is a scientific explanation for everything that people really see, so stop laughing. Who's laughing? Chessboard says, Donald, sorry to hear that Donald had a good friend had the same. We just don't know what it is. Daily Dan says you can't call it what you can call it whatever you want. All the cute names like Bigfoot, Sasquatch don't change nothing. Hairy dude, oh my god, no. I saw a fucking monster. Well, I mean, it may seem monstrous to you, right? But ultimately, you know, I think hairy dude appear based on like descriptions like what Joe saw and what Jay saw and other people that have these stories that seem reasonable and believable. They don't have a bunch of woo and stuff in them. Sounds like they're seeing a big hairy dude. Now he may be a monstrous, he may be aggressive or not. Different people have different stories in that regard, but I have to filter out the stories for ones that are plausible from the non-plausible. And so that, of course, that a lot of people don't like that because they tell a crazy story with some woo, and they don't like the idea that perhaps they were mistaken about some of the woo aspects of their story. Maybe they did see something, but they were so shocked that they thought they perceived some magical crazy stuff, and they didn't. Their mind just did that, played tricks on them. Yeah, so it ain't that I don't believe you, that you saw something. I just think that, especially like because how people are affected by this thing, because you're going out there, you don't know this thing exists at first, most of these people, and they see it, and they're not prepared for how big they are. You're not used to seeing a human that big. Yeah, especially at 11, dude, you were small. So this thing had to seem, yeah, I mean, it had to seem like a monster to you. But consider that it just seemed that way, though. Consider that. And that there's nothing to be freaked out about. It didn't harm you. It could have easily harmed you, but it didn't. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, I would say if you took any 11-year-old kid or most 11-year-old kids and took them around Andre the Giant, they might think, gosh, that guy's a monster. Well, most accounts of Bigfoot is that Bigfoot's bigger than Andre the Giant, so that would have to seem like a monster. Joe says to a mouse, a cat is a monster. Yeah. But yeah, he was 11 years old, so yeah, I have no doubt it seemed like a monster. I'm just saying at this point, thinking back, you can try to hopefully recognize that though it seemed like a monster, it probably wasn't. It didn't harm you. You're still here. Mr. Lee says, Donald, you take all the pain meds you need, fella. If it helps you, man, I stand by you always. Green Paul says, deep, but what do you have? To Joe, what do you mean, what does he have? Dan says, that cat may be a cat, but I bet that rat's still shit when he sees me. Yeah, most certainly. I'm just saying that the monster it seemed like a monster, but it can also be true that thing was just a large human. It was just a large human. I mean, I know a lot of people don't believe Bigfoot's human, but I'm going to have to work on everybody. Morphologically speaking, what people like Joe and Jay described they saw absolutely has to be a straight up. If it's not Homo sapiens, I will be surprised. It's a different race, a big, hairier race. But if it's not Homo sapiens, same species as us, I will be surprised. Donald says, I was 13. I don't recall any massive size like 8 foot. Mr. Lee says, Donald, you must tell me your encounter, please, one day. I don't think he's ready to talk about it. Daily Dan says, hey, there's a trip fact few weeks before it happened. It was wrestling. Where Andre was wrestling, and the thing I saw seemed way larger. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing you saw, because Andre was really, really big for a human. If he saw this thing, he would probably shit. In fact, he might shit himself worse than you did. Because at 11, you're used to seeing a lot of shit bigger than you. Every man you see is bigger than you. Every woman you see is bigger than you when you're 11, for the most part. Andre ain't never seen nothing bigger than him. If he saw Bigfoot, he would fucking shit himself worse than you did. Gary says the big guy is the devil. Just saying. I don't believe that, but you keep on. Teach or leave them kids alone, says Meredith. Donald says, I will, Mr. Lee. I promised. If you went on Mo's show, just give me the time. Give me time. Yeah, give him time, Mr. Lee. Give him time. So Sandra was asking what the name of the movie was. The name of the movie, Arlie Ermy said the name of the movie in this clip. So I'll play it one more time because it's a funny clip. Go back a little further. There we go.
What the hell is going on out here? Get back in your grave!
Ah, son of a...
Holy Jesus!
Go ahead.
What the hell are you doing in my graveyard? You have been told to stay away! Sound off like you've got up here!
Yeah, well, it's a public place, Hiles.
I do not like you! You cannot bring your spooks in here without my permission! Disappear, scumbag! I am not one of your shitty elimination banisters. You cannot push spirits around. You are scum. Using spooks to put the frighteners on people. That makes me physically ill. We got a lot of lowlifes around here, and I will put out your response for first sign of trouble. These must be contained.
Did you catch it then? Don't respect that in your own time, dude. Yeah. Chessboard says, Lockbeard, the mind is a marvelous imagination machine. How many inventions have come from it? Is that a serious question? Is that a serious question? Yep. Mr. Lee got it. That's a good movie. What's next here? I actually had three clips from the Frighteners sitting here waiting. Might as well look at another one, right? Yeah. What Mr. Lee said, Sandra. After the drill sergeant there, I forget what he's really called, Hiles, I think. After he knocked Frank on the ground, he said, you cannot push spirits around. Using frighteners or using spooks to put the frighteners on people. That makes me physically ill. The name of the movie is Frighteners. But it seems like a weird way to use it. But I feel like they were forcing like someone like insisted on the name being Frighteners for some reason, and they wanted to force in the word Frighteners to be used in the movie. You know, I hate it when they do that. Like it don't feel right because it's not a word, really. You know, it's not used the way because he was using the spooks to frighten people, so he could go in and then do an exorcism type thing and make money. So you think that the reason why the movie called The Frighteners is because him and his spooks are frightening people. They're frighteners. But then Arlie Ermy here uses it in this weird way. They kind of forced it. Um, they do it so like in Star Trek First Contact, where they meet Zephyr Cochrane. They're explaining who they are to him, and he says, "So you people are from the future on some kind of Star Trek." That was so fucking stupid, so goddamn lame. Whoever's responsible for that should be fired. Joe says not going to say anything as fact as to what Bigfoot is or isn't until I have concrete proof. Until then, it's just a hypothesis. Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying my hypothesis is it's Homo sapiens, and I will be extremely surprised if I'm wrong. Yeah, Donald, I agree. It does take a while, says Gary. Rubbish, Lockbeard. What's rubbish? What's rubbish? I never know what you're saying if you don't say what you're talking about.
Go back to the cemetery.
Yeah, well, you can pull this, Frank. I'm about to go like Jesse on your ass. I'm gonna find me some other black ghosts and then organize a march. The African American Apparition Coalition, the AAAC. And I'm gonna tell you something, Frank. It ain't nothing worse than a bunch of pissed off brothers that's already dead.
Yeah, I was muted. Let me go back here. Mr. Lee, what is rubbish? What is rubbish? How old is this be? 1996, Donald. The Frighteners, rubbish, a movie. What kind of sentence structure is that, Mr. Lee? The Frighteners, rubbish, a movie. I disagree, Mr. Lee. Didn't we already decide that you don't get to decide what movies are good and bad? Because you say a bunch of good movies are bad movies, and a bunch of bad movies are good movies. Whatever, Gary. Donald says mid 90s, or Chessword says Donald mid 90s. Yeah, 96. Am I still muted? Am I still muted? Because I shouldn't be muted. Donald says never heard of it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The movie never got any. It isn't really well known. Like, it's not as well known as it should be. But I think it's a pretty good movie for what it is. Thanks, Joe. Mr. Lee says, Andor I watched today, rubbish. They telling you, very disappointing. Well, that's what I'm hearing, is that it again. Of course, are we surprised? Are we surprised, Mr. Lee? Andor, of course, Andor was going to be crap. Uncle Bone says we can hear you. Awesome. So before I muted myself, though, were you hearing an echo from the movie clip? Yeah, I don't know. That looked goofy as hell. They were talking to a toaster, man. They were talking to a toaster. That was crazy.
Hey, looks like I ain't shooting with blanks no more.
Mighty fine woman. Good teeth. They don't call me the hanging judge for nothing.
Stay right there.
Heads up! Good catch. Freeze! Hey, what you shooting, Dick? And she was so young and beautiful.
Sandra says, I like the movie The Frighteners. And I think you got some weird yeah, so you could tell when I muted and when I unmuted. Anyway, I don't know. I think The Frighteners is a good movie. So probably not an accurate representation of ghost or the spiritual world, but it was a fun movie. Chessboard says to Joe, did you ever watch that movie Time After Time on the Drive? Get this out of here. Not yet, said Joe. Ruthless says, yes, Lucky, it was a rather good movie. Yeah. Back before they got crazy woke about crap and screwed everything up. Not a masterpiece, but I think it was a good movie. Oh hi, says Ruthless. Hello, Ruthless. Mr. Lee says, Apocalypse Now, your favorite movie of all times. So what that say? Apocalypse Now never drew me in to watch it. I'll say that. Not my cup of tea. Rick says, what doesn't mean it's not a good movie, it's just not something that draws me in to watch it. Love to smell napalm in the morning, says Rex. Rutha says, Mr. Lee, watch the redo cut of Apocalypse Now. Donald says, agreed. Great movie, Mr. Lee. Check it out. So this is and this documentary, because you see the stuff that's new stuff they got, this all these ghost hunter goofy ass shit, finding Bigfoot version of the ghost hunting. Just ridiculous. This kind of stuff here, though, I don't know. Things just aren't getting ridiculous. It's just a sober approach to it. Like everybody's fucking on drugs.
If you wish to spell, when you start talking, please, we'll go to the alphabet A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Let's see this up to G. Will you please rock twice for yes and once for no? Is it G? Rock twice for yes, once for no, please. Is it G, the first letter, please? Once, twice. Okay, next have the second letter, please. Start spelling. A, B. Would it be A? Is it A? Will you please rock twice if it's A? Need to stop now.
Who are you talking to, Mr. Herbert?
Well, we don't know, do we? Presumably one of our subconscious minds, one of us. Or maybe all of us, I don't know. Anyway, this is not a specialist demonstration, it's just scientific. A,
This is
B,
scientific.
C, D, E, F, G, H.
Some strange goings-on have been reported from a pub in Wiltshire, and the widely travelled ghost hunter, Mr. Benson Herbert, has come to investigate.
Got a couple of fireplaces here. They're all right. They couldn't produce any odd sounds, I suppose. Was there much wind these nights, these days?
The days, no, it's quite a quiet day. The first day we ever
What
heard
time of the
this.
year?
It must have been late summer.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose a mouse on the piano couldn't make
No,
funny choices.
not footsteps across the
Do you get
floor.
mice very much?
Not in the building. We found some in the outhouses, but not in the building.
Not actually in the building. And it's all carefully locked up, and you've got had no sign of intruders.
Well, the first time this happened was on a Thursday morning. Liz was at the Cash and Carry, and I was sitting downstairs doing some work, and I heard.
Joe says he sat in graveyards for hours at night and saw nothing. Tried LSD and sat in them, still saw nothing. Yeah. Actually, in this documentary here, there's a point where the guy talks about how because this particular guy, he's not describing a ghost as if it's the actual person, but I think he was one of the people saying that this is more like an echo in a way of energy and frequency, and because we're talking about frequency, you got to be on that wavelength, right? So your mind's got to be tuned or out of tune in such a way that you pick this thing up, or this frequency's got to be something that's entering into the perceptual range of a normal person, because normally we only perceive things within a certain range of frequencies. There are certain things that we can see with our eyes, or certain things we can't see with our eyes, but we can feel it. There's things we can touch physically. It's all about frequency. Matter is the same thing as light. It's just higher energy. So it seems solid as far as what our abilities to perceive it. That's how we perceive it. I know it sounds really, really weird, but again, to understand all that, you kind of got to read Ken Wheeler's book, I think, and he's got thousands of videos on YouTube. So, like, I think he's made 7,000 videos at this point. Some of them are about translating languages, like he's a language prodigy, and explaining Buddhism properly and what the ancient writings were really about. Because all the religions are they're following a bastardized version of what they originally were, because the translations are all wrong. Like, they're all jacked up. It's just when you're translating from one language to another, something's lost there. The actual total 100% meaning does not come across correctly. Never. And then on top of that, you had people that were purposely altering some of this stuff. There was stuff just being just plain ass omitted. There were accidental changes made, mistakes when they were transcribing. What people are following, like if you're following the Bible, for example, exactly as written and literally, you're way off whatever it originally meant. You're way off. Like, if you want to get closer, you need to go study those writings in the original language, and even then you're going to have a hard time getting to what it actually means, because you're not part of the culture that language came from. You will never be totally able to understand the meaning accurately. Never. So ease up on these, the Bible says this precisely. Well, no, you just chill. Yeah. But anyway, and he talk. He's got a lot of photography. Like he was working in photography, and I didn't care about photography very much, so I didn't really watch any of those videos. But yeah, there's a lot of information to absorb to try and get what we're talking about here. But so if you really want to understand why I'm saying this, you just got to go study the stuff that Ken's teaching. I mean, and if you want to, you can go further. You can try to understand like what, because he gives the sources of all this stuff and everything. And but there's no other explanation. People are experiencing ghosts, and the explanation is there on Ken's channel. Infield hauntings. I don't think so. Jen says you have to be open to the experience. Mr. Lee says, Jen, not really. I never was open to it. It did happen though. Awful business. Well, I mean, maybe, because if the thing was actually able to physically affect you, in a way, you kind of were open, like, because you believed that this thing could harm you, and that left you open to be harmed. As long as you understand that you are the physical, this is the physical world, and to be done physical harm, it has to happen within the physical world. So something that's strictly spiritual cannot harm the physical body that you control unless you let it. You control this physical body, so it doesn't control anything physical. So you have to be open to letting it harm you, and for that to happen. Rutha says, Jen, that's the issue. People open themselves up to such influences. There are things of this world best left alone. Gary says, and kept where some of it what? Not a complete sentence, I don't think. Ruthless says, sure, you can use these entities for gain, but the price paid is unfathomable. The poltergeist of Enfield, London Borough. Mr. Lee says, Ruthless, I try to type your name in rubbish. Always comes up. Just saying. Because you say rubbish all the time, Mr. Lee. The AI knows. Jen says, not arguing that point, Ruthless. I've always experienced this thing. So did others in my family. Seems passed down, but I don't know for sure. Yeah. I mean, it could be, that your family just has genetically, you're just built in such a way that you're open a little bit more to the range of frequencies that intersects what we would call spiritual in our world. But again, I'm using the word spiritual because that's the only thing that most people will understand what the hell I'm referring to exactly. I could say into frequencies beyond what we're normally perceived, but people aren't going to truly understand. I'm talking about ghosts, I'm talking about the spiritual realm. I'm talking about universal consciousness, the parts of it that we're not normally supposed to perceive while we're connected to a physical body as a tuned signal. It seems really, really weird to think of your mind, your consciousness, your spirit, or whatever the hell you want to call you, is it like a tuned signal? Tuned signal. Ruthless says, Mr. Lee, that's you not training spell check, mate. What? Yes. What did he say? Poltergeist? Yeah, poltergeist of Enfield, London Borough. Strange happenings, Mr. Lee. Donald says, I experienced some weird ghost stuff and 2 creatures I called goblins to my mother when I had a high fever from pneumonia when I was young. Could have swore it was real. Yeah, but could have been a dream, right? Could have been a dream. But who knows? Maybe it was real. Ruthless says humans have an inherent need to connect dots. The brain will act accordingly with the eyes. It is the brain that defines vision, not the eyes. Yeah, the eyes are just like little satellite dishes, picking up frequencies, straight up picking up frequencies, and then the brain interprets it. And sometimes the brain will interpret shit all funny. Lee says, Lockbeard, I didn't believe nothing. Seriously sat on my chest, screamed in my ear, and held me hostage. I couldn't move, man. I was paralyzed. What was this crap happened to me, man? You sure it was a poltergeist? It could have been a crackhead. Could have been a crackhead, Mr. Lee. What kind of neighborhood were you living in? Gary says, I've seen something in the woods. Can't put my finger on it, but thinking it was the rake. Oh, man, come on. That rake thing was some shit people made up. Now everybody thinks it's real. They see that stupid picture of the rake on there, and it's just fake as fuck, man. And now everybody believes it's rake. And because people believe in it so much, they could give some level of reality to the damn thing just out of just believing in it. You know, what if some of these perceptions of things, like in this documentary here, where the guy's talking about the ghost, he thinks ghosts, or at least some of the ghosts, I don't remember how he put it, are actually something projected from the mind of someone who is alive, not dead. That it's actually like a psychic projection of someone who is alive. And if that's the case, if enough people believe in this thing and think that it's going to show up, could they psychically project this thing into existence in a way, or at least intermittently, like occasionally it shows up because enough of them are thinking about it, and they actually give it some level of reality. I don't think we need rakes in the world, so everybody stop believing in that rake bullshit. That was just some fake shit somebody made. It wasn't real. There's no evidence it was real. Didn't need eyes to be a prodigy. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, all this shit went through my head. That dumb landlord rented me a ghost room. All this shit going through my brain, I just couldn't believe it. Joe says, I'm eating a huge rack of ribs. That's real. I'm telling you. Yep, ribs is awesome. Now, all you gotta do is like don't put barbecue sauce on it, and don't eat anything else with it. Just eat some meat, man. Just eat some meat. You gotta trust me. You gotta trust me on that. Fly by Sue says, "Hey Joe, sounds good, man." Mr. Lee says, I discovered after the events that area heavily bombed in World War II. There was a tunnel under my bedroom. Peeps used to hide out. Children screaming. Very scary shit, man. Yeah. So something's still there, huh? Something spiritual still there. Donald says, I was awake, Lock. I was seeing this stuff outside. My mother called the doctor. He said I was hallucinating. I mean, that's still within the realm of possibility. If you're really sick and stuff, and maybe you did hallucinate. I mean, you have to admit the possibility that that's the case. But who knows? Maybe you did see some stuff that was actually real. Jen says a psychic projection or emotional creation of a spirit is a poltergeist. Yeah. So, which that's what I'm basically saying. The rake may become. Because there's so many people that believe the rake is a real thing now. And looks like that was just some goofy ass shit somebody made up. Heard of the skull experiment? They were conjuring up demons in basements of a building in rural Norfolk. I don't think I've heard of that one.
Heard his footsteps go across this first floor. I went all the way up. The communicating door to the bedroom and club room was closed, bolted from the bedroom side. The doors to the outside stairs were also closed. I opened them. I even looked down the stairs in case someone was walking up and down the stairs, but there was nothing at all.
So there seem to be two kinds of poltergeists. One is associated with a place located poltergeist, the other a person located poltergeist, which follows the person around as they move. So the next question is, what about before you came here? Did you, in your previous place, did you ever get any odd?
In our previous place, in our own home, my wife may be able to tell you something about this.
Yes, could you?
We had a bedroom. Well, we've still got the house, actually. Well, actually, you know more about it than I do, because somebody died, one of your relations died in that room, but I didn't know this. I didn't know it at all. And I never liked that bedroom. I couldn't stand it. And my young daughter didn't like it either. She didn't like being alone in the house, and she was 12 years old. I mean, she was no baby.
Theory, Mr. Herbert, that ghosts go with people rather than...
It's a person located poltergeist. Due to her own unconscious powers of affecting matter around her, making noise or movements. You had a movement, didn't you? Something moved off the bath or something.
Yes.
This was a funny incident. We were, I was putting up some mirror tiles in the bathroom, 6 of them, and one continued to fall down, kept falling down, and never smashing, just falling down. One day we were standing there, it was falling down. I said, Liz, there must be something causing this. And she said, it's our poltergeist. So I said, well, if there's someone here, show yourself. And just then, from a chair that was standing, I suppose, 5-6 feet away from us, fell a bath rack. No one pushed it, no one jumped or anything like it. It just fell off. I could say it jumped off, but I'm prepared to say it fell off.
How can she make that fall off the wall?
Well, by what we call psychokinesis, there's for example, there's a woman in Leningrad, Madame Kulagina, who can move objects by willing them. I've done experiments with her
This is doing it
many times, and she doesn't realize she's doing it, but presumably somehow she's doing it.
This is theory or fact?
Well, there's a lot of data to verify this idea. It's not my idea. It's a general consensus opinion among parapsychologists all over the world agrees with this idea. And so you would call this telekinesis if she's not aware of it, and psychokinesis if she is aware of it.
So now, Mr. Herbert, are you investigating Liz or are you investigating the pub?
Well, I could, of course, put her through some psychic tests to see if she has psychic powers, but this is not quite the appropriate moment. I haven't got all the apparatus ready just here. Instead, I will probably just investigate the room as a physical environment. And we have here some sample apparatus, the kind of thing, a small sample of the kind of apparatus I usually use. For a preliminary investigation, my assistants, Vicky and Reg, helped me with the setting up. This is a negative ion pistol. If Vicky will come here, I'll just demonstrate. If you'd like to open your mouth, I'm going to fire negative ions into your mouth. Now I'm firing. Now I can close your mouth. Now I turn it away, and I slowly release the trigger, and the positive ions are harmlessly going in this direction.
Now, what does that mean? I mean, positive ions, negative ions. What are you talking about?
Well, negatively charged air, which are very good for the human organism, and make you more alert. For example, there's some French airlines use this kind of thing for the pilots on long distance flights. It's more alert. I myself find usually without this I could perhaps keep on working back on to 2 a.m. with it. I can go on to about 4 a.m. without any fatigue.
Mr. Lee says the whole experience was very traumatic. I immediately questioned all things, vampires and werewolves. What I experienced was unbelievable. What says, yeah, that's a whole lot of trouble. Playing around with summoning demons and stuff. Because, yeah, I mean, you're talking about potentially some entities that exist in the frequencies beyond our normal perceptions. Which there almost certainly has to be, because the frequencies go on and on. Just because we only perceive in this little narrow range, right? We only perceive things in this little narrow range. Well, the frequencies go on in both directions, right? They go on and on and on. So there could be entire ecosystems of things. They're right here, but they operate in frequencies so different from ours that we can't perceive them. We can't feel it. We can't touch it. We can't see it. But they're there. But there may be some things that can overlap between other ranges of frequencies in ours. And sometimes, if coaxed enough, they could poke over into our range, and maybe they need to feed in some way off of entities here. I mean, you got to think, I'm talking about ecosystems every bit as diverse as what we see with normal physical life in our world, existing in frequency ranges just beyond our perception. And now, to some people, they would be like, "Well, that's another dimension, or that's a spiritual realm, right? Those are demons and angels and spirits and all kinds of stuff like that." I mean, different people are going to probably explain those things that seem non-physical to us. They only seem non-physical, though. That it's just we're designed to interact physically with things within a certain frequency range that it physically, it seems like a physical object that you can touch. That's what we're designed to interact with in this range of frequencies that we exist in. So, you know, in their frequency range, there's stuff that they can physically touch. But here they don't necessarily touch things physically. But what if they need to absorb certain energies? And that's in a way, you know, because some people discuss this concept of an energy vampire. If there's an entity that its frequency perceptual range and its range of energies that it can feed off of, it overlaps stars a little bit. Enough it can feed off of you, but not so much that you can perceive it very well, if at all. You know, feeding off energy, right? You know, that's not a strange thing, right? Because, you know, like, what does a plant do? What does a plant do? You know, energy from the sun, right? You can't really touch it. Now you can feel the heat. You can see it. But what if you didn't see it? What if it was just a little bit different and you couldn't see it? Tired and headache. Chessword says, Mr. Lee, sit in a foxhole and watch your friends disappear. That's traumatic. Fly by Sue says, really good to hear, Sandra. Donald says, Mr. Lee, I felt the same way. I was frustrated that no one else could see what I was seeing. Yeah. Well, it's hard because mainstream science is not able to and is definitely not willing to try and explain spiritual, for lack of a better word, spiritual entities at all. They want to just flat deny they exist. So what this means is your typical people that are non-religious are going to completely shut down when you start talking about ghosts and stuff. They're not going to listen. And of course, the fact that if you're talking about explaining them from a scientific perspective, now all the religious people are going to be pissed off because you just took all the magic out of their belief system and said, well, actually, this is all just scientifically explainable if you're willing to learn how so. So, you know, neither side likes this, right? Neither side likes this. So you got part of the population that wants to believe in magic, and they got this sky daddy that loves them and created them and all this stuff, and then you got the other side that doesn't believe in anything at all spiritual. Now there are some atheists out there that are embracing ghosts and stuff because of there's enough people witnessing these things, and you know, data, you know, like observations, like well, I mean, I showed you that one short piece of video where an object came off the shelf. There's no reason why it should have come off that shelf, but it did. And then, of course, the picture with what appeared to be like a Hat Man-like figure in behind her in that store. But observations, you know, with, you know, measurable scientific data, you know, like temperature fluctuations, unexplainable temperature fluctuations. So, I mean, you know, so if we could work on that, getting people who are strictly, you know, science, right? Like me, strictly science, to see the scientific explanation for what you call spirits, or what a lot of people would call spirits, or the spiritual. It's a loaded word. The word spiritual is a loaded word. What says the Black Shuck attacked 2 churches one stormy night in 1577. 4 people were killed in Bungay Church, and legend has it you can still see the marks where it scratched the door to this day. Mr. Lee says, Donald, yes, man. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, I couldn't believe all this shit is real, man. Yeah, I mean, it's real. I mean, there's some people, look, the problem is sometimes people's minds is just playing tricks on them. So that makes it look like that supports the idea in some people's head that it's all bullshit. Kind of like, pareidolia, Bigfoot, like, the Bigfoot encounters that are either just ridiculous or they're obviously turn out to be pareidolia. Well, those kind of cases throw doubt on all the encounter stories, even the ones that are that seem logical and believable. They're plausible. It's just a big hairy dude hunting in the woods. All right, that's plausible enough. That's not so fantastic that we could probably just dismiss it, like Dr. Johnson's. Well, he wasn't the only one involved with that, but he gets all the flack, right? This shit is real, man. Donald says, Lockbeard, do you think there's any chance this is the deal with Bigfoot? What do you mean? What do you mean exactly? This is the deal with Bigfoot? Flyby says, good night, sleep. We'll put that right, Jen. Too much internet does the same to me. Welcome to the chat, Bell Prepper. Jen said, in Mansfield prison, they have a break room you can go sit in on ghost hunts. So many people's batteries die there. They have a big bin full of dead ones. Yeah. So that's the thing. This like there needs to be more testing with the dying batteries thing. To kind of confirm that it's something. Now, could it be that there's an entity existing in frequencies that are beyond our normal perception, so we don't see it, but it is able to sap on the energy of batteries, our batteries, unseen to us, and that it's something that lives only in certain places? And why it lives in certain places, who knows? If this is something that if we can show through enough testing that this battery draining phenomenon only happens in areas with a certain kind of fungus growing in the ground or a certain kind of tree growing in the area, we might be able to determine that this thing has an association, a dependence on, or a symbiotic relationship with on some level with the ecosystem in the area that explains why the battery draining effect only happens in certain areas. We gotta find out why that is. But first we need to prove it's a real thing. So you go in there, not just someone walking in there with some batteries and your batteries run down. Well, maybe your batteries run down because, I don't know, if your phone's sitting here trying to link up to Wi-Fi or something over and over, it might drain more power or something. Who knows? There might be something causing it to drain more power than normal, and it's just a mundane thing. But so if someone claims that there's a battery draining effect somewhere, we need to go in there with a whole bunch of batteries and see what the fuck happens. Have some controls over here, and then so on. Possibly draw out a grid on the entire area and set and put batteries in each grid, each in the middle of each square, and see what happens. get a picture of where this anomaly is, where its boundaries are. Like, do some like science, basically. Jen says they had to do it because people were leaving dead batteries everywhere. Yeah, I mean, that'd be something I wish I could have time and the money to go investigate something like that and actually try to do some actual proper experiments there to prove to prove that the phenomena is real, and try to map out where it's at, where its boundaries are, get a picture of it. It might be even beneficial to try and check elevation. Like, you have maybe get a bunch of tables, like 3-level tables. So you put 10 batteries on a level that's 5 inches off the ground, 2 feet off the ground, and 4 feet off the ground, and then measure the effects on those batteries after a certain period of time. Equal period of time for all batteries, the best you can do, and so on. Because it'd be interesting to see if there's a proximity to the ground. Proximity to the ground. It could be, it could be just a geological issue, or a magnetic field type of thing. Chessboard says, Jen, several old asylums around the country are the same way. Bell Prepper says, Chessboard, yeah, that's extremely traumatic. My trauma doesn't compare to that. Mansfield in England. Yeah, Mr. Lee. But you survived it. Next time, just tell it to get the fuck off of you. Okay, that's interesting, Chess. Joe says, I don't believe in gods, angels, demons, what have you, but the cosmic flying spaghetti monster is real. Can I get a ramen? Ramen. Ramen. Spicy shrimp ramen. Yeah. Jen says, Stu, it's a sinus issue, weather change, I'll be okay. Mr. Lee says, Joe, you must not eat ramen. To that, Mr. Lee, I say either you're just being a keto advocate right now, and you full well know what Joe was talking about, or you might not know what Joe's talking about. Does Mr. Lee not worship at the altar of the flying spaghetti monster? I guess not. Donald says there's an asylum out by Joe in Western New York. They say it has spirits. Bell says, Mr. Lee, we all have things that happen to us we wish hadn't. Learn from it and make the best of it. You can, and help others if possible. Jen says, LL, Joe, my cousin, was into the flying spaghetti monster. Donald says, Joe, if you didn't see Rasta, would you say Bigfoot are not real? Mr. Lee says, I would scoff at Pizza 4. Are they crazy? Not after that. I was lucky to have friends that believe me, man. Donald says, Bigfoot going in and out of this frequency, Lockbeard. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know for sure. I think more than likely they're just big, hairy people that are really good at hiding. That's, I don't think there's any kind of weirdness going on. I don't see any evidence of weirdness going on. If someone sees them disappearing, it's possible that the only real weirdness going on is that they didn't see a living Bigfoot. They saw the ghost of one. Isn't it ley lines making batteries drain? Could be. I mean, there's a potential that there may be places in the fields that has a draining effect on the batteries. Yeah. Joe says, Donald, honestly, I would only give it a possibility because of slight evidence that suggests something is out there. Chessboard says, Jen, there was one 15 miles from where I lived. It was in Weston, West Virginia. You could hear people screaming when I was a kid. They say haunted now. Where they connect each other. I don't know. Maybe. Donald says it's the fallen. Jen says, I'd say yes, that it seems they do pull energy in that way. In some experiences, I've had it made me very tired, but they could be because the adrenaline wears off. Yeah. Stu said, well, I think some people, I think in cases where, you get stressed or spooked, and then you have a little bit of a blood sugar drop, and then you don't really realize that's what's going on, and you feel drained. Stu says this isn't a subject I participate in, but listening, y'all still got similar phenomena with energy transference, battery draining. You see interesting stuff. Joe says, Donald, for the most part, I don't say this or that is not real. I say lack of belief that it is real if there is no good evidence for it. Mr. Lee says, Lockbird, do you think Sasquatch has supernatural powers? I have seen no evidence to prove that. No. There's not adequate evidence to prove they're even real. So we're a long ways from even remotely being able to prove that they have some kind of supernatural, whatever that means, powers. Jen says, initially we can't even prove. We can't even prove. What was somebody saying about Sasquatch today? Gary, about washing hands. We can't even prove Sasquatch washes his hands. I'm pretty sure all the raccoons taught him how, but Gary says they don't. Donald says, so people having experiences with spirits isn't good enough evidence, Joe. Well, again, I think, again, I'm talking to you as someone who thinks spirits are real, right? But I think that claims of spirits is a harder pill to swallow than claims of a big, hairy race of people in the woods. If that makes sense. It's a lot easier to believe there's a physical dude. He's just a really big dude out there, or a bunch of people out there. They're just really big. That's easier to believe than there's some spiritual entity that you can't see. That's less believable. Now, people who are religious, that's not going to seem less believable to them. But that's a whole nother issue. Confounding factors, what that is. What says, and those type of buildings are usually the setting for a horror movie, Jen. People are scared of those places. Yeah, the fear of that place may cause the experiences to occur. Joe says, no, Donald Fuller, just the same way my experience with Rasa isn't good enough for evidence. Yeah. Mr. Lee says, Joe, it happened to you. Who cares what other people think? Well, he don't. He just wants more information, like the rest of us. Joe says, Mr. Lee, I am the only one who knows it happened. My encounter without actual evidence is good proof. Bigfoot, or is not good proof. Not good proof. What says all the popular horror movie series that had a movie set in a hospital or asylum, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Wrong Turn. Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff I never liked. I had some friends that were really into that stuff, but I find horror movies to just be completely unentertaining myself. Sanders says, I believe in God and that Jesus is the Son of God. Gary says, I see Locky hashtagging me once again. I was. Stu says, to me, everything is dimensional. Depending on your vibration determines what entities you experience. Obviously, some parts of the world hold more energies than others, from negative to positive. The Howling movie original, fantastic, says Mr. Lee. We are over 2 hours. What is wrong with this thing? Hold on a second. Trying to see. I'm having to reload this other tab over here. There we go. Computer is not happy. Not happy. Mr. Lee says the Howling movie original, fantastic. Green Paul says to Joe, what surprises about you is your lack of curiosity. You say you saw something profound but doubt anyone else's experience. You think it's good enough for us to doubt you? No, just easy there. He doesn't typically doubt other people's experiences. That's his whole thing. He doesn't just automatically, now I doubt some. I mean, there's some doubt to be cast on all. Like, all people, there's a possibility that their minds are playing tricks on them, right? That's always a possibility. And so many people are too prideful to admit the possibility that their minds could have played tricks on them, that it could have been pareidolia, or they could have just gotten spooked and thought they saw the certain thing. Now, some cases where, like, I think Jay's and Joe's are these kinds of cases where they were close enough to these big, hairy people that it's hard to explain it away as pareidolia or their minds are playing tricks on them. It sounds like they actually could, and Joe was roared at. They actually saw these big, hairy people. But there's always a little bit of doubt. And other people cannot, so even though Joe knows he saw one, he was too close to it, he was roared at, he saw the deer that the thing was hunting, that he spooked up accidentally and pissed it off. He knows damn good and well, he always says this, is that his experience is not proof for anyone else, though. It's not. In order for something to be scientific proof, it has to be, repeatable, reliably repeatable scientific experimentation to show it's true. Well, you can't really do that with these experiences, right? It's just someone's account of what they saw, which are never, even in normal legal issues, it's never very reliable. It's not. People, their minds play tricks on them all the time. They don't remember things correctly. You cannot accounts of seeing Bigfoot are just not good enough to call evidence. They just aren't. Now, people can get all bent out of shape about that all they want, but that's just the reality. Now, that being said, I'm about 99% sure that these things are real. You know, I'm just saying that we need actual evidence like and the ability to figure out the techniques that are required and the technology that's required to repeatably and reliably observe the forest people so that we can get some actual scientific data. And we just don't got that. We don't have actual scientific data. Yeah, people claiming they got it. You don't. You can't actually have any confirmed scientific data until you can reliably and repeatably observe the creature doing the things that you claim is evidence. People come up with these structures and stuff like that and say this is evidence of Bigfoot and sounds. No one's seen any Bigfoot make any of these well, some people claim they have, but again, that gets back to an account. What we need is reliably being able to reliably and repeatedly observe Sasquatch making the sound. If we can't go back and observe them doing it, people saying they saw this and they heard this around, that doesn't cut it. It just doesn't cut it. That's why people get mad because they say if you say this or do this or you don't treat these people with kid gloves, they're not going to want to tell their stories. I'm like, well, I don't give a fuck. I actually do not give a fuck because we got plenty of stories. Stories aren't evidence. I'm interested in actual evidence. And so some people are pissed off about that. They must be because their channel perhaps functions solely off of people telling stories and they need news stories all the time. And that's all they give a fuck about. They don't actually give a fuck about finding actual evidence for Bigfoot. And I don't have time for that bullshit. I don't have time to treat people with kid gloves all the time because I'm afraid they won't want to tell their story. I mean, I might for some people, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, we got enough stories. Stories are just stories. I could sit here and make up stories for the next 10 years and just never tell you guys I'm fucking making it up. And there'd be 90% of the Bigfoot community out there would be perfectly happy with that because they just want to hear stories. They just want entertainment. That's not the part of this I'm interested in. The entertainment can go just way the fuck over there somewhere and get the fuck away from me. I don't need entertainment when it comes to the subject. I want evidence. I want facts. I want actual science to be done. We have to figure out how to do this science. So all these people going out there and say, boots on the ground, you can't talk, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I've wandered around in some goddamn woods in my time. And these people just want me out there wasting my goddamn time. That's what they want me to do. Because they don't like me sit here telling them, look, what you're doing isn't fucking cutting it. You're not doing anything. Most of y'all, you're just not doing anything. I mean, people still need to be out there and looking and try, and they might by chance get another encounter, but that's not going to prove anything. And most of these people aren't scientists, or they at least don't have enough of a scientific mind to understand what they're going to need to do to try and figure out how to determine a way to reliably and repeatedly observe the Sasquatch people, to observe ghosts, to observe UFOs, little people, whatever shit we're talking about. Pterosaurs. So it's just make that shit abundantly clear. If you're interested in stories, That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in finding a way to get to actual facts and science about these things. So, and this has been a problem. This has been a problem. People getting all mad because they're afraid that people like me are going to spook people from telling their stories. Well, so we have enough stories. More stories aren't going to change anything. I'm not really interested in most of them anyway. Most of them sound so ridiculous, they're not plausible. So, Halloween marsupials, was that the second or third film? What? Joe says, Sandra, and you can, but you also don't get angry when I say I need something more substantial to believe the same. Donald says, I used to like horror movies for the scare factor when I was younger, but not into them now. Yeah, well, I always knew, like, to me, again, it's just my logical mind is a barrier to that. Like, I know it's just a movie. I know there's nothing to be afraid of, since they make horror movies specifically to entertain by being scary, and they usually have no other redeeming factors. They're usually just stupid storylines, goofy, crappy humor if they have any, maybe some stupid, crappy romance or some stupid, hot chicks being chased around half naked or some dumb shit like that. The movie is usually stupid. It relies entirely on being scary for its entertainment value. And then, well, I know it's a movie, so it ain't going to scare me. So it can't entertain me in that way. And even if it could scare me, I don't find being scary to be entertaining. So I still wouldn't like the damn movie. I just don't like horror movies. They're stupid. To me. Now, other people, they like that shit. So whatever. But I'm not. It doesn't. Most comedies, again, I don't like most comedies. They're just so fucking stupid that I can't. Like, this is the dumbest shit ever. But some people eat that shit up. I can't understand it. It's like, it's just so. If it's more intellectual comedy, then we can talk usually. But most comedy is so goddamn stupid. I can't. Like, even if it was a good movie, their comedy often fucks it up. Like Marvel, man, they've been fucking up Marvel trying to put their stupid comedy in there. I'm goddamn sick of it. Marvel, you fucked up. You took Thor and turned it into this goddamn stupid shit. It's stupid. A lot of this comedy is dumb as fuck. I don't need it in the MCU. Too late now though, because I'm not interested in the MCU anymore. The MCU ended with Infinity War, not Endgame. It ended with Infinity War. I decided Thanos was the good guy. He won. Story's over. Fuck off, MCU. Take your fucking Captain Marvel and all your other shit and fuck off with it. Joe says, why the fuck are you making all these assumptions about McGreen Pauls? Yeah, I don't know why. Like, you basically said the exact opposite of how you are. Jen says, can you help with that? Don't watch those movies. Some of the British horrors are good. Says what? Green Paul says, Lockbeard, really, he was close enough? Well, I don't know I'm not sure what you're asking. Yeah, he was he was very close to the Sasquatch. Donald, or I'm sorry, what says dog soldiers and how? Donald says, yeah, chessboard. I tried getting them off the Ouija board. They gave me the wrong ones. Man, I fell way behind in chat. You are the truth decider. Who are you talking to? Well, again, that conversation about truth came up the one night, and I tried to explain to people, and of course, everybody's gonna get pissed off about it, because here the fact is there's one truth. Like, there's people out there that they don't like the fact that basically they believe something that is not the truth, and so they want to hijack the word truth to try and give credibility to their bullshit. And so they say, well, this is my truth, or that's your truth. And no, fuck all that. Fuck all that. There is one goddamn truth. The truth is that which can be proven. You can't just sit here and hijack the word truth and expect me to take that shit seriously. It's not gonna goddamn happen. You're trying to pull some fucking bullshit tricks with words, and I'm not having it. The truth is, there's just one goddamn truth. It's that which can be proven. Your bullshit can't be proven, no matter how much you try to say, well, this is my truth. No, there is no your truth, my truth, blah, blah. There's one goddamn truth. And you have all these people out here trying to fucking muddy the water with this shit, and I'm goddamn sick of it. I want facts. I want science. I don't want people's bullshit. And there's too many people out there trying to bullshit me. You got your Jessica Jones over here, for example. It just come to mind because I'm looking at the object right now that's been labeled LOCKBEARD 2. Jessica Jones cannot remote view shit. If she wants to prove differently, remote view that object. But she won't. She will not remote view anything that can be fact checked. She won't. I mean, you guys can't fact check it because I could just sit here and fucking lie. But I would know. If she could remote view that object, I would know. So that would at least be one person. That'd be one less person. And I'm going to keep harping on her ass for a long time. This for whatever reason, because she's part of that whole Tex crew over there, and their bullshit. Fucking goddamn Texas front porch bullshit over there. And dude saw some wolves and thinks he saw Dogman, I think. I don't know. I don't know what he saw exactly, but Dogman is such a ridiculous claim and has zero goddamn evidence. I think we need to play Jessica's clip. Her tasty teenage boys clip.
Look like a tasty teenage boy.
Yeah, she likes tasty teenage boys. Okay, actually, she's talking about Bigfoot, I think, but whatever. It's still funny. Full disclosure. Anyway, no, I don't decide what the truth is. Facts decide what truth is. That which can be proven. Nobody decides what the truth is. The truth is just the fucking truth. It's what can be proven. His original night, I can't remember. Dog Soldiers. Sanders says, Joe, I've never said anything in anger to you. I know you don't believe that is fine. No, he wasn't responding to you like about anything like that. He wasn't angry at you, or I don't think. I didn't see it if there was any kind of. Donald says, I still play the numbers though. Just send money to me. Lockbeard is serving us word salad tonight. Tastes like. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Joe says, Sandra Piper, that's my point, dear. Stu says, good film, The Dog Soldiers, Scottish Highlands. Again, there you go. I mean, talking about word salad, there's the word salad. The reality is what it is. There isn't my reality, your reality, their reality. There's one goddamn reality. And some people want to twist what it actually is to what they believe. and then they'll say stuff like this: your reality, my reality, any of that stuff like that. Your truth, my truth. No, there's one goddamn truth. There's one goddamn reality. So again, I mean, this channel is not going to entertain that bullshit. It's just not going to happen here. Little birdie told me the BDRP fucks D2D DOS is going to try and get back into Bigfoot. D2D DOS needs to just take his ass back to prison or some shit. I don't know, wherever he don't belong in Bigfoot because he's full of shit. He's getting back into Bigfoot. Get the fuck out. You ain't got proof of shit. Produce proof for the dogman bullshit. Get the fuck out of here with this dogman bullshit. Goddamn dogman bullshit. What's this creeping another about crawler creature living in London underground? Kindly, this is everyone. You talking about Joe or me? Yeah, if you're getting upset about people being logical and reasonable, then the problem would be you, not them, right? Like if you can't admit the possibility that you were mistaken, or a lot of times this is a red flag, because someone who's just straight up lying will come back like this on people that are skeptical about what they're saying. So if you don't want to look like you're potentially lying, you may not want to come back at people like this. This is a red flag. It could be that you actually saw something, but you were mistaken about its exact nature. It could be that you saw nothing and you were just straight up mistaken that you think you saw something. And that you're being as honest as you think you're being honest. You think you saw what you said you saw, but you could also be lying. And the liars will come at people and attack them like this. Well, I'm sorry, Green Paws, but here, just because someone says they saw something doesn't mean it's automatically a fucking fact. That's just reality. That's reality. I don't make reality. Reality is what reality is. Your experience is not proof of anything. And if your experience is a pretty ridiculous claim, if it is not plausible, if it doesn't correlate with what we know of the world that we can prove, like Bigfoot's, if your story is about a flesh and blood Bigfoot, well, there are billions upon billions of flesh and blood people and animals on this planet. We're very familiar with flesh and blood things. So that would be a far more plausible story than a magical Bigfoot. The portal jumping, cloaking like the Predator, talking to you telepathically. If telepathy is real, again, this is another challenge I got for people. Tell me something telepathically. Communicate with me telepathically. The challenge has been out there for a while, and it just hasn't goddamn happened. I'm not hearing any voices in my head. And what they're going to say is, oh, well, you're not open to it. Fuck off then. They can fuck off with that shit. Fuck off with that shit. Don't come at me with that bullshit. Every time you catch them, it's just like when Matthew Johnson was being challenged, like you said, well, it was Carrie. It was actually Carrie. Carrie was interviewing Matthew Johnson, and he said he was asking about coming out there to witness this portal. And then Matthew Johnson immediately started going into, well, if your mind's close to it, you're not going to see stuff. Again, just started spreading on the bullshit. Just already concocting the bullshit excuse for why, if Carrie went out there, he wasn't going to see any goddamn portal, because Matthew Johnson was full of shit. And his co-conspirators to create this fraud. Got to try and catch up with the chat here. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder, Joe. Green Paws isn't hardly ever here, and I'm getting this close to fed up. This is not cool. Sander says, Joe, why single me out? I don't know. Is he singling me out somehow? It's released as evidence. Joe says, I was simply responding. Sandra, everyone is so sensitive tonight. Good night, all. Yeah, sorry, Joe. Green Paul says, Troll, you just dismiss. You saw what you saw, but everyone else, they're deluded. Step up. Don't be lazy. Show your proof. What in the fuck is going on with you, Green Paws? That mom says, Troll, you just dismiss. You saw what you saw, but everyone else. Oh, no, wait a minute. I was trying to read that mom. What the hell? Switch over. There we go. Batmom says, guys, I was downstairs doing laundry and I heard a woman scream bloody murder. Then it went completely silent. I can't figure out where the scream was coming from. This happened just now? Speaking of sensitive. Well, Green Paws, you're kind of rubbing me the wrong way at this point. Mr. Lee says, it pisses me off, boots on the ground, but I'll go into the woods most days. Yeah, they try to shut you up when you start calling them on their bullshit. And one of the phrases they use is boots on the ground. What are you doing? Are you going out and having a glorified camping trip and then claiming that owls hooting is Sasquatch mimicking an owl? Complete bullshit. But just for an example. I'm starting to think, Ruthless, maybe. Don't get angry because of the difference in beliefs. Well, we could have us a big holy war up in here. Stu says, keep away from them Saw films, nasty nastards. Don says, I'm not sensitive, Joe. I was just curious how you felt before your experience. Well, he caught some of it earlier, Mr. Lee. Anticole. It was twice. I can't figure out what apartment it was. So there is something going on right now in your apartment building? Mr. Lee says, call the cops. Crazy scary. Donald says, did you call the police, Batmom? Shit, Batmom says, I called the police. If I called the police, all I can say is I heard screaming. They would come out, nor can they do anything, but it scared me because I made my son go grab my gun. Well, hey, you're armed, so, you'll be all right. Ruthless says Marvel has destroyed itself. Hell yeah. Mrs. Red's comment. I misread his comment. Now I feel bad. Yeah, I think there was some confusion between you and Joe, but Joe's got a different, like, Green Paws is over here, like, kind of attacking Joe, and I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Ruthless says, turned Hulk into a joke. Come up with the idiocy, She-Hulk. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna watch She-Hulk. Like, I'm not gonna watch their shit anymore. But what I have watched is clips and spoiler reviews and stuff like that. And the clips are enough, really. You see some of the bullshit in these clips. It's so goddamn ridiculous. It's just, and they're trying to say, well, it's supposed to be a comedy. Well, okay. Well, it's stupid. It's a stupid comedy if it's a comedy. Hello, Achaeos and fellow chatters. But I think Ruthless. I think what's going on here is because they have the all female. All females are in control of the show. And writing it, and I think they really are projecting their own sorry lives onto this character. Like they got her basically. She's hooking up with guys off of Tinder and getting railed, and then ends up in court, and they have to call all these guys in that she met off of fucking Tinder. I think these ladies that made this show, this is their fucking life. They're hooking up with random guys on Tinder all the time. Or I think isn't that what it's called? I don't know. Probably using the wrong word. Mr. Lee says, Batmom, get your pow pow. Icon says, Halito Achaeos. Howdy, fellow chatters. Hello, Icon. Donald says, Batman, if they have records of abuse of someone that lives in them apartments, they can do welfare checks there. Bell Pepper says, Batmom, hopefully someone is just deathly afraid of spiders or something and screamed and then missed when she tried to hit it and possibly crawled towards her. Jen says, had a guy walking around outside or in an apartment across the way yelling how he knows and y'all are going to die at 3 a.m. last week. What the fuck? Hammer Films, man, gotta love them, says Icon to Mr. Lee. Hammer Films. Rutha says, sun is out today here, Icon. It's a nice change. What says Mr. Lee? Oh, shit. Where'd the fucking chat go? There it goes. The ritual just came to me. People camping in Switzerland and encounter a religious monster. Hammer House of Horror. Chessboard says, Sander, never apologize for your beliefs. Yeah. Bell's been around these kind of chats a long time. Since long before I started my channel, actually. It's been up in the Bigfoot chats, best I can tell. And she hasn't been around much lately, but she seems to be, or up until very recently, she hadn't been around, but seems like getting back into it, I guess. Ruth says truth is both subjective and objective. Batmom says Tex isn't fake. Jessica, on the other hand, I feel is not right. I'm sorry, Batmom. I think Tex is. If he isn't actively lying, he's just mistaken and not able to admit that he's mistaken. And by the way, did he ever detract D to D Das? Did he ever, because he wasn't he kind of buddy with him at some point? Jen says, Icon, I finally got that mail out to you Thursday. Be on the lookout. Facts are absolute, says Ruthless. What says that mom? Tex had the missing time in Brown Springs, right? Son of a bitch. Why is it got to be missing time? Why can't it be that he nodded off for a few minutes? He got spooked and the shock caused him to black out for a moment. Something. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's just a confused old man who was confused when he supposedly saw Dogman. He didn't see any goddamn Dogman. He was mistaken, or he's making this shit up. I don't know for sure which. But what I do know is he's afraid to face scrutiny. That's why he's blocked everyone out. Mr. Lee and Donald, myself, he can't handle scrutiny because his story falls apart, and his channel relies on that goddamn Dogman story. He needs to keep that narrative up. So, that mom says people want proof and facts, but don't care to get it. Icon says, Jen, yes, ma'am, I'll be looking. Bell Prepper says, Ruthless, I took a long break, but I don't think we have met. Lurk a lot. It's nice to meet you, though. Ruthless says, this is or isn't, period. There is or isn't, period. Truth is easily skewed. What says, Jessica's remote viewed his missing time, and apparently he was abducted. No. She didn't remote view shit. She did not remote view shit. She claims to remote view stuff, things that none of us can prove, or we can't fact check it, right? If she remote views that object that I've labeled Lockbeard 2, then I can, I will know, and then you guys will have to rely on my basically just a claim, and I will understand if nobody believes me. If I tell you, say, look, Jessica remote viewed and told me exactly what the object was and described it and everything. I'm actually giving a whole lot of information by just saying it's an object. So making it less fantastic if she does, but she only remote views things that nobody can check on. Nobody can check on. It's part of her game. It's part of her scam. She's a scammer, and I challenge her continuously to remote view something that can actually be checked on. But she won't. She won't. She's like, oh, I don't remote view for individuals. It takes too much out of me. Well, let me tell you what, you crazy lying sack of shit. I'm just asking you to remote view an object that has no emotional anything attached to it. You are sitting there remote viewing all this shit that has strong emotions attached to it, like the Bigfoot who was murdered and saw its offspring murdered, and you remote viewed and psychically communicated with it in the past, and that's okay. You're willing to do that? No, because you made that shit up. You researched the thing, and then you told everybody on your show what you thought they wanted to hear. And that's it. You spun a story and you goddamn lied. I'm calling her out. She's a goddamn liar. Long break. Yeah. Well, Ruthless, you ain't always in here either, though. So it'd be easy for you to miss each other, too. Bell's cool. Close to your break. Bell Pepper, are you staying out of trouble, says Batmom. Chessboard says, Donald Fuller, not to be nosy, I meant to ask you, mobile. Mr. Lee says, Icon, you ever watch British Horror Tales Unexpected series? What'd I say? I don't know. I'm way behind in the chat. Friend's father was floor manager. Tales. Stu says, at the end of the day, there's nothing new under the sun. Just because we've been led up garden path doesn't change reality. It's how you perceive it. Anglia. Pears and grapes. Apples coming next. Icon says, glad to hear things are good. Film something in our village. One frightening. Icon says, Mr. Lee, I've seen the series mentioned, but haven't seen it listed in a long time. That was something you'd find on the PBS catalogs back in the day. Bell says, good to hear. Batmom says, Lockie, grab my gun so I could figure out what apartment so I can go save her. Gun wasn't because I didn't want to be killed. Awesome. Can't really say. No, I'm way behind in chat, so Batmom says, what, I think you're full of crap. She says, what? No one wants to come find you. We have lies and don't care to stalk unknown randoms. Is he claiming somebody does? Rutha says, I'm not watched 1 picosecond of She-Hulk. The name of the show was enough for me. Well, it's actually based on the comics and stuff. There was an actual She-Hulk in the comics and all that stuff. It's kind of the concept is kind of dumb, like originally, but most of this comic book stuff was kind of stupid if you really think about it. But they've turned it into some woke insanity, like absolute nut job shit. I hope these fuckers know, these far left fucks, that all you're doing is helping to push people further away and to react to it. If you didn't say anything, you would get a lot further. If you didn't do this shit to the movies and TV shows, you would get a lot further with pushing your agenda than you are. But what you're doing is you're pissing off people, and now they're going to push back, and they are pushing back. And then you're going to get all bent out of shape and try to shout them down, but it's not going to goddamn work. And, you're going to have shit like we talked about the other night with G4 and Frost. I mean, she really thought she was a survivor. And she ended up getting canned, man. She's fucking out of there, and G4's still going to collapse anyway because everyone's just fucking sick of their shit. They were barely clinging on. Look, that when the internet came, when YouTube came, G4 days was numbered. It was fucking over. It's like fucking, video stores. It's over. You might hang out by a thread, but it's over. And then they hire someone like Frost who sits there and fucking preaches to the fucking customers. Well, and then they just all said, you know what? She told us don't watch, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to not watch. And people just got the fuck out. People, sometimes you got customers because they're trying to show customer loyalty, not because they really need your product. They're just trying to be supportive, and their interest in what you're producing is not that great. Kind of like my channel. Sanders says I talked to Joe. Thanks, good. Starting on the crop. Moving to East Grinstead. Bill says I know you're feeling well. It usually starts with C catalog starting to show up around Christmas. We'll stock Mr. Lee, says Batmom. British TV series says what? Icon says Mr. Lee, oh man, I let my Amazon slide a couple years ago. I just didn't use it enough. DVD sets. You still have a DVD player? Those things are probably not going to exist anymore. Not too far into the future here. Mr. Lee says, I'm happy for company. Some douchebag did try to hack me last week, though. Oh, yeah, they tried to hack into your shit. That mom says, Locky, yes, Tex did. He did what? That mom says, Donald, you and Locky can be dicks, though. You can't deny that. I think we both truly hope so. But yeah, I'm not buying it with Tex. Not buying it. If he's legit, tell him to stop blocking people. That's a red flag. He's full of shit. You block people when you can't stand up to scrutiny. If you're legit, then you need to be willing to stand up to scrutiny instead of cowardly blocking people. It's cowardly. It is cowardly if you can't face the criticism of your bullshit story. Tex. And the fact that he's associating with a dude who believes the earth is 6,000 the fuck years old and a lady who is lying to us about remote viewing. The birds of a feather flock together. So it makes me lean towards Tex isn't just mistaken. He's full of shit. Full of shit. All this shit adds up to Tex is full of shit. I'm sorry. Tell him to stop acting like he's someone who's full of shit, and maybe I won't say he's full of shit. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Fuck that. Yeah, I don't think me or Donald. I don't think we're going to deny that. We're going to proudly, yeah, we're dicks. Fuck it. Here's a missing time with Tex. So he claims. He's made a lot of ridiculous claims. He can't back any of this shit up, and he's associating with people that believe ridiculous bullshit or are fucking lying to us. So this just adds to the whole thing. Like I just said, he's mistaken. He's either just a very confused old man, or he is lying. Well, that apparently. Yep. Mr. Lee, look, this is what Jessica Jones says. She remote viewed that bullshit, supposedly, but she can't remote view shit. She can't remote view this, that's for sure. She's probably going to say, I don't do personal remote views. I'm not going to justify Lockbeard with a response to that challenge. Whatever, lady, you can't remote view. You're full of shit. You don't remote view anything that I can check. So, and that's by design, and I know it. You're a charlatan. End of story. Mind speak. More mind speak, huh? That also says the missing time thing was true. My ex had mentioned he himself thought it was aliens or portal, but I wasn't really caring to listen. I'm not buying it. He fell asleep and took a nap. That's more likely. He fell asleep and took a nap. He blacked out. His blood sugar dropped and he blacked out. Stu, so I watched one. I mean, again, there's another associate right there. There's another associate. Like, he associates with people that are full of shit. So, birds of a feather flock together. Stu says, I watched one with Jess remote viewing moon landings. Was strange how she couldn't go against MS narrative. It was not being truthful, not watch sense. Yeah, she will not remote view anything that you can fact check. She won't. And she'll claim this is how she gets away with, she makes it sound legit, because she's like, it takes a lot out of you, blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, but you're willing to do it for a show. You're willing to remote view into incidents that carry heavy emotional toll. Yeah, you're full of shit, Jessica. You're full of shit. So I'm sick of people coming up in here fucking up this. Look, phenomena. This is something that will only be proven with people who are not bullshitting you, who are only interested in facts and who are willing to call out the bullshitters. Now, I might not be able to ever find any goddamn facts. I don't know. But when I see bullshitters concerning this kind of stuff right now, I'm going to call it out. Because those people are muddying the water. We got so much of that bullshit out there that we can't find a way to the proof of anything, because we're wading through all this shit. The Jessicas are shitting everything up. Tom Cruise's fault, says Brent, or Mr. Lee. Batmom says, Mr. Lee, it's always Tom's fault. What says? I didn't watch that one. I watched LB in Texas 1-0 and the Kentucky Goblins. Oh, fuck. There's Goblins too, huh? No, this is Bell Pepper. Same here. Usually by the time B-Day comes around, February, I can build a seed catalog for it and formulate a battle plan. See you later, Gary. Mr. Lee says Tom Cruise is not good looking. Is me though, just saying. Well, I mean, just I mean, we can. I got a side by side comparison. You want to take a look at that again? That was an actual side by side comparison of Mr. Lee and Tom Cruise. Yep.
Just looked like a tasty teenage boy.
Liar. How do you know teenage boys are tasty? But you won't answer that. Bell Prepper says, that moment I remember both were there. Don't remember all the story. Been a while. Donald says you would think it would kill her to remote view them accounts if remote viewing an object is going to take so much out of her. Well, as far as I know, she hasn't responded to this specifically, but I've seen in the past where she says she doesn't remote view, for people's personal. I can't remember how she worded it, but if you ask her to remote view something, she's not going to do it, basically. But she's happy to do these kind of things, these high emotional toll situations like that Bigfoot encounter that claimed Bigfoot. And she even did. She researched it. She even says on there she's researched the whole thing before she remote viewed it. So she gets an idea of what she needs to say, and then she claims a remote view, and then maybe she puts some tweaks on it here and there, like Tex being abducted, supposedly being abducted. She was able to put that tweak in there because he's sitting there. I have missing time. I don't know what happened. Can you tell me what happened? So she had free reign to say whatever she wanted. She probably knew damn good and well. I think he's lying. I think he's full shit. He's surrounding himself with bullshit. He's got fucking 6,000-year-old Earth guy over here who's all up in this mud fossil bullshit. I mean, he's so deep in bullshit and trying to act like he's intelligent. Fuck that guy. He seems nice. Look, texting him seemed nice, but remember, I've said this before. A lot of times liars and bullshitters will just be really, really nice and kill you with kindness so you won't challenge them. Like you feel bad about challenging them. Like challenging Beast TV over there, who are harboring a thief of audio and helped her lie about it on their channel. Beast TV, Bigfoot evidence analyst, whatever the ST team, whatever it is, their acronym, evidence analysts. Well, they probably know damn good and well. If they have any investigative ability at all, they know damn good and well she knowingly stole that audio and tried to claim it was hers, and then she got caught. And then had to go on their channel and try to explain how, I got my files mixed up. No, you didn't get your goddamn files mixed up. You're lying. And Beast TV helped you lie about it. On one of their channels. And we covered that before. Well, guys need to stop chatting so much. She just went off on one. She-Hulk, so rubbish. Stay where you lived. I don't know why he said that. Well, no one should really give away their position, though. Quite excited. Heirloom varieties. Yeah, no one really should. They shouldn't. Bipolar, but I don't go off on people. Bell says, icon the door. Oil flour. Had a go at you? Did she have a go at you? Mr. Lee says, I don't mind telling folks where I'm living. I have a big harpoon. Yeah. Nobody fuck with a with an Englishman with a harpoon. Or are you British? Are you British? Mr. Lee, are you British? Donald says, chessboard, do you mean can I walk? Yes, but if I go shopping, I have to use a walker to get around right now. I'm doing PT to try and get my strength back. $500 people. Uncle Bone says, El Paso, Texas, come and get me back, Mom. Email Joe your address so he can send you that John Wayne plaque. West Yorkshire, Fly by Stu. Norfolk. Bat Mom says, full of it, but keep believing what you want. Mr. Lee says, Jan, I will do the first thing in the morning. Don't know why you think that. Bernard Matthews Country. I'm skimming through as fast as I can, try to catch up, so. Oh, if the chat wouldn't stop disappearing, too. Mr. Lee says, that's some heavy abducting. Oh, Tom Cruise said it's not possible. Weight-wise, text. Oh, man, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, you're not supposed to talk about people's weight. Me. Speaking of which, have you seen the whole controversy surrounding the issue with that movie about the guy that was 600 pounds and overweight people? Some overweight. The social justice warrior type far left crazies hate this. It's Brendan Fraser, and anyway, it's they don't like it when you suggest that, you know, maybe it is your fault. Maybe you could have made better choices. You know, they don't like it when anyone says it. How dare you? You know, how dare you? But it's kind of like getting drunk. Don't drink, you don't get drunk. You know. Stu says 3 a.m. guys, I'm out, brothers and sisters. Take care. See you later, Stu. It's late for Mr. Lee as well. That Mom says, I find the comment of tasty teenage boy a bit disturbing. Well, that's what she said. She was actually talking about a Bigfoot. Or was it Dogman? Anyway, it was some kind of cryptid wanting to eat a teenage boy. I couldn't pass that clip up. I couldn't that Mama. I had to.
It looked like a tasty teenage boy.
I wonder if she knows I play that clip. Oh, shit. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, I have an object in my hand. Guess. Is it your cock? Mr. Lee, you shouldn't be jacking off while you're on the stream, man. It's a key. Give me an idea. CBD infused heritage wheat bread. That Mom says, Mr. Lee, that was my G-rated guess. Yeah, I didn't have a G-rated guess, I guess. Jen says, Icon, if that's the thing, you're well, sir. Hope it sells gangbusters. Mr. Lee says, I'm removing you, Zash. You can guess object now. Zaza? What? I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Lee. Remoting you, not removing you. Zahahaha, what object I have in my hand? Your remote control? You have a remote control? You still have a TV, Mr. Lee? Haven't I convinced you to throw out your TV? It's an object of evil. La La Land by now. Brilliant. Should sell good. Your iPad? Some people around here pronounce the word beautiful. After 3 days there in 65. What were you doing in Juarez, Mr. Chessboard? You don't have to answer that. Jen says, then I want some free goodies icon. Milk chocolate digestibles. She might be in here incognito. Yeah, she probably is. She's probably stalking me. She's torn. She's torn between being pissed at me for challenging her remote viewing abilities and playing her tasty teenage boy clip. She's torn between being mad at me for all that shit and being uncontrollably attracted to me. Cheese sandwich. Mr. Lee's got a cheese sandwich. Jen says, Mr. Lee, is it a bottle of somewhat? Uncle Bones writes, chessboard, holy shit, 65, 10 cents was a lot then. Hold on, icon. Well, did you use the... Yeah, you did. You got it right. I'm trying to click on it, but it's not. Computers working hard. Did you want me to show this in the chat to the did you want me to show this to everybody? And for you, the beginnings of because that could possibly be arranged. I think. I don't know. Let's try and get it to. There we go. Yep. You give up then? Who are you saying you give up to? Bardell, Donald says. Outside. Big white one. Hot cuppa. Your harpoon. Your harpoon? You got your harpoon in your hand? If that's what you call it, you can call it a harpoon if you want, Mr. Lee. You remember in the movie The Corsican Brothers, Chong called his sword. Well, actually, the girl thought he was talking about his cock, but he was actually talking about his sword. Dark out currently, vocal but not close. Chessboard says Uncle Bones, Bridge Toll, White Sands Missile Snap. Miss Lee says, you are useless, remote viewers, useless. There's no pictures. Scared off Bat Mom, all this talk about your harpoon. Possibly. Show the let me see here. See if I can make that happen. Just a second. Wild times, glad you made it, says Uncle Bones. To chessboard. Have a pic of it in your hand. What says some bloke stuck a camera facing the barn owl nesting box up there in tree. Donald says we had a screech out of the hung out for a few years a while ago. You want to get dive bombed by it at night, will wake you up. 316 for Mr. Lee. That mom says, no, I'm not scared. Good-natured ribbing. Yeah, Icon says this is the beginnings of Dog Man right here. Here, let me make it bigger. Make it big, much more better. There we go. He says this is the beginning of Dog Man. Yeah. Is that thing out of popularity? I hate that shit. That shit's so stupid. How the hell did... I mean, that shit right there got way the fuck out of control. Way the fuck out of control. Yeah, that's about as real as Dog Man's gonna get. Mr. Lee says I'm just about passing out. Yeah, I'm done myself, Mr. Lee. I'm done myself. So, how about we wrap her up? It's not that Twitch girl who copulated during her live stream. No, that might be her. I don't know. There's plenty of dumb girls on Twitch, though. It's creepy as fuck. Yeah. I'm guessing Icon has coffee and cookies. This is Jen. All right. Well, I mean, I've been trying to. We've been pretty successful about keeping it to 2 hours recently, but apparently not tonight. We've gone over 3, and still no answers to shit. Right? No real answers. Nothing everybody can agree on. We didn't see Timmy tonight, did we? We didn't see no Papa Craig. I don't think Papa Craig's coming back. Says splash of all out of cookies, though.
Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for coming, and see you next time.